Know Your Candidate. Presented by Portland is Possible, broadcasted by XRAY FM. In this segment, we offer a brief background on the visionary candidates that are proudly standing and running for the acclaimed Portland Area City Council. For now, we have a candidate of District 3 that incorporates Montevilla, Belmont, and Hawthorne neighborhoods.
My name is Brian Conley. I'm running for City Council in District 3, and I'm running to create a City Council that listens.
How can we make Portland a more walkable city?
Well, I think we already do a pretty good job, but I'd like to see us do more investments in more collaboration with Bike PDX, Walk PDX. I'd also be interested in looking at the opportunities for reduced fare or fareless travel on TriMet, whether that's in certain districts, certain times, certain groups. I think we need to look at it because often the public transit turns out that it's actually, there's a cost to charge it for public transit.
Where do you see art institutions in 20 years? How are they different than today?
Well, I think the most important thing is to figure out how we can help art institutions become more sustainable, not dependent on a single or a small number of wealthy donors. We really, as a city, we need to take ownership and responsibility for the importance of the arts and make sure that we're investing them and ensuring they'll be here for generations to come.
How do we better connect our communities to the river?
As a kayaker, that's something I would be very interested in seeing. I do think we need to promote the access to the river, but we also need to take responsibility for the cleanup, making sure that people really feel comfortable using the river, and that we're doing everything we can to make sure it's beautiful and reflects our values in Portland.
What in your background demonstrates how you approach implementing visionary ideas?
Well, I think this is one of the things that really sets me apart from many of the candidates. While I don't have experience in government, I've spent the last 20 years setting up news agencies and training journalists in conflict zones. Currently, I'm helping run one of the last remaining news agencies in Afghanistan, an agency that is majority female, and we're really working hard to do that. And I think that shows that not only do I have big ideas, but I've a track record in completing them and successfully doing them in some of the world's hardest places.
What would or should the average Portlander's day look like in 30 years?
Well, I think at this point, it's going to be hotter. We need to start now thinking ahead about where things are going to be in 30 years. Climate change is going to get worse. That's going to exacerbate inequalities, and our communities that are already marginalized, low-income people are going to be excessively affected by this. And so we really need to start now with making sure that doesn't happen, or that we do as best we can to ensure that Portland becomes a city that works for all, that's livable for all, that's affordable for all.
Lightning round. What's the most Portlandy thing you have seen this week?
I would say that the most Portlandy thing I've seen this week is, people in my neighborhood in Montevilla, just giving a handout to some of the houseless folks. I like to see people in the neighborhood checking in with each other. And really, it's not a Portlandia thing, but it's something that I love about Portland is that we do try to take care of each other.
Should the President Teddy Roosevelt statue come down?
I'm not sure that should be a priority. I think we have other statues, other things that could represent Portland. I think if the city wants it, we should look at storing it in a museum or someplace where it can be kind of kept and observed, but it's not necessarily part of the public space.
Should Portland offer a universal basic income for artists?
Absolutely. I think that especially for independent artists, it's really hard to make a living in the city, and a universal basic income or other program to support independent artists would be great.
Would you describe Portland as more grunge, more jazz, or more indie pop?
I would say that to me, it's more grunge. That's more what I'm partial to. But as a city, I think we really do reflect more of a kind of indie pop grunge aesthetic.
What restaurant or food cart is totally underrated?
Oh, I would have to say that to me, it's the Blackwater Bar on 9th and Broadway.
So now you know your candidate, or a bit about them. We like to thank the visionary candidates, also like to especially thank all the volunteers and organizations that put this together. We couldn't do this without you. To look at each candidate, be a good Portland citizen, and to be a dashing and informed voter, listen to XRAY FM to learn about ballots and the new ranked choice voting system. And check out portlandpossible.org.